Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jahriali. In this incarnation, I am here today to talk about Mars. I wanted to explain these transits in a context of cycles and how they are connected, so we can understand the process that we have with these oppositions between Mars and Pluto. So, well, let's go there. Remember that I'm going to leave this video in the reproduction list. I am always, putting the new videos and the transits that are still in effect. So, okay, the function of Mars. Mars is the planet that rules Aries. This is a masculine energy. This is how we move in the direction of the things that we desire in our objectives. It is a very active energy. It takes action precisely. It opens its way. Mars also responds to the most primary instincts. I mean, defense or fighting for a territory that could be real or symbolic. Many times the anger could be activated when we are feeling invaded, for example. So to elevate the energy of Mars, it is very important to align our actions and impulses to the superior consciousness that inhabits all of us, because those impulses could also be born from a disconnected ego. They could be traduced in violence, in aggressiveness. And as we know, this is a practice of discernment. Many times it is challenging to not react, to regulate ourselves. This is a process of understanding how to regulate our energy. For example, I'm going to put a very extreme example, but I'm walking in the street and somebody else is insulting me, or operating in an imbalance. I could, fight with that person or redirect my energy, understanding that it is not evolutionary. Many times, of course, the instinct, the survival instinct, it is very useful when it comes to terms of surviving, for example. But in the practice, in most of the experiences in our days, this applies for the minority of the cases, so of the situations. Well, Mars, as we know, at the moment that I am doing this video, is going through Cancer. On October 5th, it started its shadow period that goes until December 6th. This means that Mars is going through the mathematical degrees that is going to review, that is going to go through again later in its retrogradation. This means that the experiences, the manifestations that we are going through right now, they are going to be reviewed. When we talk about a Mars in Cancer, we are talking about a Mars that needs to take action from what is really nurturing. It is necessary to cultivate this emotional security to accompany ourselves in the processes. It is a very emotional and intuitive Mars, but could be also be very territorial, closing itself to the new, wanting to stay always in what it already knows. And in its passage through Cancer, and with the tensions that we are experimenting, there could be showing the familiar conflicts, the roots, everything that is linked with the roots is Cancer energy, the structures in which we have created a home in a symbolic or literal way, and also experiences that are coming from the past, and that it is necessary to attend. Then on November 4th, Mars is going to enter in Leo. Here, Mars has a lot of affinity with the fire of Leo. There is a great willpower to go to the goals, to offer with generosity our own light, whatever it is the form that light takes. Here, Mars in Leo has these qualities of leadership that we all need to assume. We all need to assume the qualities of leadership, at least with our own reality. There is a lot of focus in our talents, in the expression, in the most authentic expression of who we are, but in its shadows, this could be a very selfish, self-centered energy, very childish even, or dramatic. So We are going to have the the focus in all these topics, in what we want to create, in the expression of who we are, in children, kids, for the people that have them, because creations, kids are creations, and that is what represent in our natal chart. And this is a process to reveal those gifts, those unique qualities, to share them with the community. That is what the axis Aquarius Leo is telling us. And I wanted to remind you how important is this in this planetary ascension, to discover our own light and our own essence, our function of the soul, to offer that to the community. That is the greatest thing that we can do for ourselves and for the others. So, okay, in this first instance, Mars is going to go only until the degree 6 of with 10 minutes of Leo, because that is when it starts the retrogradation, that goes from December 6th of 2024 until February 23rd of 2025. Until from the degree 6 of Leo to the degree 17 of Cancer. So if you have planets there, these retrogradation are going to be important too. But we are all going to feel this. So Mars has retrogradations every 2 years. The last time that this happened was in October 30 of 2022 until January of 2023 in Gemini. And it is a moment where the experience is leading us to making internal questions about our decisions, about our intentions, what impulses us in going in the directions that we are going, the choices that we are making, our desires, what make us angry, and the conflictive situations, everything that is involved with the energy of Mars, it is going to be reevaluated. So our life and the world are not going to stop because Mars is retrograde, but it is a moment of reevaluation, and because it is a planet that initiates, that starts things, it is very common that the beginnings with Mars in its retrogradation are linked with a reconnection of something with the past. In the case of Cancer, this is something about that it can nurture us, that it help us to create a home in ourselves, or a literal home. And in the case of Leo, it is more linked with talents and creative expressions. So the most important thing about the whole thing is that because of the retrogradation, Mars is going to spend the rest of 2024 and the beginning and part of the beginning of 2025 in opposition with Pluto. Pluto, planet associated to the power, to what is in the shadows, that is hidden, death, sexuality, transformation. So these transits are putting like a pressure. They are very tense aspects, and we could live them with much or less, more or less resistances, depending on our decisions, on the way that we are processing what we are experimenting, because they are pushing us to transmute what we need to transmute, and to assume our power in a different way. When we have a transpersonal planet like Pluto in this case, they are always operating, but more in a collective way. But we have an activation of a personal planet, so this brings the energy of the transpersonal to our lives, and we cannot control anything. This is more about letting go of control, which is many times a challenge. So in this period of time, Mars is going to create 3 exact oppositions. Those are going to be the moments of the highest tension of the transit, and they are going to be connected. They are going to show a story. They are going to tell a story, a cycle. So in this video, I am going to focus more in the individual aspects, but we are going to talk more about this, of course. So the first one occurs right now, November 3rd. Transits with Mars, we could feel them 10 days before and 10 days after. But this one is very, very powerful because it is happening with a Pluto that just become direct in the last degree of Capricorn, a karmatic degree, and with a Pluto in Capricorn that we are not going to see in more than 200 years. So we are not going to see it because I don't think we are going to be still incarnated. What we are already experimenting right now are scenes that are pushing us to leave behind the obsolete programmings. The programmings linked with the should be conceptions of status, success, responsibility. They are no longer in alignment with our path. Structures that are disconnecting us from being in coherence with our soul and that are still feeding the old systems that are collapsing. So here occurs the necessary death that allows the rebirth, so we can discover with consciousness, how we can use our power to create the new that represents Pluto in Aquarius. So this certainly is going to shake all the structures of every system, economic, political. We are already seeing this, but collective processes take more time. So education, medicine, everything, because that form of power as we conceived them, they are falling, they are collapsing. So on November 19th, Pluto makes its definite entrance, I don't know if I expressed that word correctly, to Aquarius for the next 20 years. And in January 3rd, Mars retrograde in Leo, in the degree 1 of Leo, is going to create the second opposition with Pluto in the degree 1 of Aquarius. So here, the energy is going to be very, very different. The experiences are going to show us, are going to push us to give leaps into the void, to face our fears, to move forward into the new, to express who we are, to reveal our authenticity without looking anymore to to fit in a mold, in an old scheme. But in these schemes that are pushing us away from being coherent with our essence. But it is important to understand that not everything that is new implies that is conscious. This transit could also be an expression of a very childish rebellion, very unconscious, that is more linked with I am opposing to that person, to that ideology, I am against something. And that intention is coming from a velic and conflictive impulse, from a disconnected ego. So it is not coming from wanting to express our own light. There cannot be re-evolution from this place. We cannot do something new by repeating the same patterns all over again. So I think that our energy should be retired from the old systems of abuse to put it in creating the new, because what is no longer in alignment with the new consciousness, it is going to fall by its own weight. So in the collective level, this could imply that people, figures that are in the public eye or that are in positions of leadership, organizations, there could be revealing a lot of distortions linked with these things, with abuses of power. But also it is important to be very careful with the judgments that we could do about other people, because I think that Pluto in Aquarius is also about understanding how we should stop making this idolatry of people, understanding that we are all human beings, that we are all imperfect, and that we came here to accomplish certain roles in the collective level, in the collective, in the society. There is no superiority or inferiority, but the more that we align with our own soul, the more that we can express that light, the more contributions that we are doing. So I think that is the main focus. By the end of January 2025 until the first part of April 2025, this transit is going to be softened because the mathematical degrees, they are going to be far away. But by the end of April 26th to be precise, we are going to have the last opposition. Mars is going to be direct there in the degree 3 with 48 minutes of Leo, Pluto in the same degrees of Aquarius. And here the story concludes. There is a conclusion. Here we could be much more clearer, and we could be clearer, we could be more focused in the directions that we need to assume, understanding what is necessary to stop, seeding our power, giving our power, and where it is necessary to put our energy. More impulse to create the new with consciousness, but this is a choice. This is a choice of expression of this energy. Astrology is not conditioning ourselves. Astrology is to understand how the energy is operating, how we can choose every time to channel that energy in different ways. So, well, I just wanted to leave this summary, and I will certainly talk about this much more. So thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.